Why does psychological interpretation not actually produce change? Many people who've been exposed to therapy or therapy culture, they have a thought that somehow if they find out why, what injury they had in their childhood or what trauma they went through, that somehow or another, once that gets solved, they're going to be able to fix it. Now, here's why it doesn't work. That doesn't mean it isn't helpful, which we'll get to, but here's why it does not work. It cannot work because that's not the way human beings are wired. For whatever reason, in God's great wisdom, human beings have two very different channels by which they operate. There is the intellect, and there is the heart and the emotions. Religions have dealt with this in different ways, the soul and the body, nefesh habahamis, different levels of the soul, and also, even if you think about the psychoanalytic unconscious, what does that really mean? It's not like there's a little homunculus inside a person who's operating differently. It means a different level that by necessity does not operate through conscious thought. A different level, something almost that operates on animal instinct, except we're not really animals. So we have aspects that's very similar to animals and that might work impressionistically, intuitively, by association. Like, how do certain animals know if there's about to be a storm or an earthquake? Somehow they're able to piece together certain data and get a sense that something's uncanny. And human beings can do that too. That's more their intuitive, unconscious side. Intuition is really seeing some pattern that's not complete and connecting the dots as opposed to rational, linear thought. Anyway, regardless of exactly what it's about or how it works, there is a fact that we all know as human beings that we can think one thing and want something else. We can be on a diet and know that it's good for us not to eat XYZ. We could swear off a certain, kind of drug, nicotine, alcohol, worse drugs, and at the same time, and know it's bad for us, say it's bad for us, and then do it anyway. So what are we talking about over here? That is what makes human beings human. We might not like it, but God knew what he was doing, and there's something very magical about this constant tension between what the heart and the emotions and the unconscious and the instincts kind of drive one toward and intellectual thought. And they work together. The best and most balanced human being somehow or another has some type of harmonious back and forth. But the bottom line is like this. Let me give you an example. If you want to bungee jump, okay, and let's assume for argument's sake, I don't know the actual statistics, but let's assume for argument's sake that bungee cord jumping is a relatively safe activity. It's even safer than driving on the highway to work. So, you got all these facts in your head, and then you're standing on the precipice of this giant cliff that you're supposed to jump off. Your mind says it's perfectly safe. Your body's screaming, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way, right? That's what your body's screaming. So, how do you put that together? The answer is it doesn't matter. That's the truth. That your head can know one thing and your body's going to know something else. Now, we don't have an operating system like an iPhone that we could just download a new update. That's not the way it works. So what do we have? What we have is an accumulation of sensations and instincts and drives that are based on lots of experience. And therefore, even if there's a really good, plausible explanation why, let's say, somebody likes a particular sexual behavior, or a person has a certain type of defense, or how they react to something, they just cannot reason with it because it's deeply ingrained within the body by experience. Now, that doesn't mean that it isn't helpful. First of all, because even to come to terms with it or become aware of it, you need language, you need the narrative, you need the story of what it means to you. But then you need to gently think of, are there other ways to enact that need, whether it's a defense or it's some type of other drive or desire, and to gently experience life over several iterations, over weeks and months, differently. So let's say you say to yourself, oh, I get so angry because I went through this trauma, so I overreact. You can't yell yourself into not overreacting, but you could, at moments, even when you review, think to yourself, would there have been a better way to do it? As a child, it only felt effective to do it like this. But now I'm an adult. I have other options. And if you can do that very gently and you have other experiences, eventually those experiences start to become a part of the programming. Just like the old experiences became part of the programming, the new experience does. But you can't rush it. And the interpretation helps, but it's not going to solve it alone.